This way today. Hello my friends, welcome to Walking with J.Beau. Go wherever my feet take me. Had to buy my winning Powerball ticket. Covered up my Powerball numbers just in case. So anyway, there's absolutely no way I'm ever going to win that lottery. But here's the thing. There's a 1 in a 300 million chance of winning the Powerball, which is 1.1 million. Well, just asked how that guy was doing, because like I told you, you're better off when you pass people to say something to them. I wasn't recording when I did, but he was not happy. He didn't acknowledge me at all, and he was just talking to himself while he was bawling his eyes out. So I don't know, my friends. Anyway, like I say, picked up a Powerball ticket, and pretty much the odds of winning are 1 in 300 million, which means you could spend $200 million. Well, you could buy 200 million tickets. Theoretically, by that number, you wouldn't win anything, or at least you wouldn't win the big jackpot, or you'd have a better chance. But basically what I'm saying is don't take your kids' college fund to buy Powerball tickets, because more than likely you're going to lose, even if you spent $1 million on tickets. So you got to take that with a grain of salt and not be greedy, not get addicted to gambling. And when I was younger, I used to like buying scratch tickets. Sometimes you win, sometimes most of the time you don't. And I wasted a lot of money on that. And it was a habit I had for a little while. It was addictive. And younger people seem to be more susceptible to that. But a lot of older people are too, as well. And you got to use common sense. Don't gamble unless you're willing to lose. That's the first one. Now, if you like to gamble and you know you're going to spend a lot of money and not get your return back, and you just enjoy doing it, then, you know, I guess that's okay. I wouldn't recommend it, but so I bought my ticket, and was listening to Consider this some free advice from J.Beau. I turn the camera around for this segment. Hi everybody. Now I'd like to say something clever like, remember this video because you got to know the big Powerball winner before he was a Powerball winner. Well, you wouldn't know I won it. That's the first thing. And the reason why I say that is attorneys that do this, that deal with people that win big lottery winnings, they want their clients to know that it's going to be at least a month before you see any of the money. That's what this guy was saying. Reputable guy. He's handled other mega lottery winners. The second thing is remaining anonymous. And you will want to remain anonymous. With a $1.1 million Powerball win, people are going to assume you have $1.1 billion. He said the first thing that happens is usually, if you're an older person, you're going to want to take a lump sum. And he didn't talk about this, but I'm assuming that you cannot transfer the winnings to another family member, like in a will, like you can with stock options or retirement accounts, things like that. So a retirement account, an RIA, you can sign that over to a relative if something happens to you. Take care of your assets, you know, for you, whatever. And so with the Powerball thing, can't do that. So what he recommends, the first thing you do if you win, is to photograph your ticket. The front, photograph the back, it can be a cell phone picture, whatever, and then bring your ticket to a bank. You don't have to tell anybody at the bank what it is. In fact, don't do that. Get a safety deposit box. There is going to be a small financial deposit. And like locally here in Lewiston, Bangor Savings Bank on Lisbon Street has good security lock boxes. I'm not going to go into detail about how I know that, but for about a period of a year, I used the safety deposit box for cash, and for purposes that are personal. I'm not going to get into it. But so I went there and got a lock box, safety deposit box. They don't ask you what you're putting in. You don't have to reveal what you're putting in. You don't have to talk to anybody about anything. You just fill out the paperwork, your ID, prove who you are, blah, blah, blah. So what you would do with your ticket is you would lock it up in a safety deposit box. That way, if your identity should get out, you're not going to get robbed, for one thing. Because you would go from being average Joe Schmo to all of a sudden being very rich. And the other benefits would be to allow yourself time to mentally absorb all of this. So anyway, that's just my advice. This guy's advice was to photograph both sides of the tickets, get a safety deposit box, and then start putting your legal team together. Actual lawyers or lawyer that has dealt with lottery winners. You don't have to shop local, okay? You can get people that are accredited and have done this before for other people. This guy also explained that the jackpot's 1.1 billion after taxes, okay? It's going to be around 600 something million. And then after the taxes, I mean, if you take the lump sum, that's what I mean. If you take the lump sum, it's going to be around 600 million instead of 1.1 billion. And they need time to get that into a bank account. They need time to transfer. Oh, we got a turkey running across the road. There he is, right there. Look at that. That's that same turkey we saw crossing the other day. He's by himself. Hopefully I got that on camera, I hope. So anyway, what I was saying is if you take the lump sum, especially if you're an older person, you'll probably want the lump sum. Most people do that. And the reason why it's wise to do that is you can't transfer it to somebody else if you die, okay? Getting annual payments. So if you're young, it might be a good idea. You'll get more money over your lifetime. But at the same time, you could get hit by a bus or die from a heart attack tomorrow before you even get to smell any of it. So he recommends to their clients to take the lump sum and then just let it sit in the bank. You would not believe how much money will add to it, just in interest that it will accrue. So it's okay. You can also get it fully insured in case there's a financial crisis. You will get a return on your money. The insurance isn't cheap, but it's not going to break the bank because you've got $300 million friggin' dollars, okay? So those are all things he said. And he said when you get your ticket and you won, he has seen in the past where people signed their ticket. Don't sign your ticket until it's time. If you get it locked up in a safe deposit box, it's safe. It's not going anywhere. You'll probably feel like it's not and you're going to want to sign it, but as soon as you sign it, somebody steals it from you, they can cash it in. So it's got a signature on it. So don't go crazy about anything. Don't overthink anything. Don't freak out. Don't feel like there's a right or wrong way to do something. The priority is to keep the ticket safe, okay? Don't do anything dumb like keep it in your wallet so you can lose it, okay? So anyway, they will set up a fund, bank account, or accounts, and they will take care of it. And of course they do all of this for a fee, all right? They don't work for free, but it'll be the safest, best way to handle it, especially if you've never handled a lot of money before. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't want a lump sum, I want all my money. Well, how much is enough? $300 million over the rest of your life accruing in interest? That could double, you know? So, it's a lot of money. And you already paid your taxes on it. So, you know, that's really good. Plus, a legal team might be able to cut a couple of tax corners for you. So anyway, food for thought. All right, that's all we're going to talk about for the lottery today. I got my ticket. And we're going to walk up the hill here. I'll turn the camera around in a minute. we'll mosey on up the hill. So my friends, thanks for being here, guys. I'm going to do kind of a regular schmegular walk today. I've been doing a lot of adventuring lately, which I hope you've noticed in the playlist. Also the 360 playlist. It takes a lot of time and effort to upload 360 video, so I hope you appreciate it and you watch it. It's not like regular video. One 5-minute clip can literally take an hour to process and upload. No joke. And that's with a good internet connection. YouTube only allows a certain rate of upload speed. Doesn't matter what your internet service is. So what are we going to talk about next? I know. Chicago. Another dozen shootings this past weekend. I think 7 people were killed. Murder. So this comes after the mayor of Chicago made his big anti-Trump speech. The biggest problem people seem to have is seeing National Guardsmen with long rifles and armed walking around in the city streets. That seems to be their big concern. So I think they're concerned with the optics. But the mayor doesn't want to do anything. I saw a video clip of this black woman that lives in Chicago screaming at the mayor at a public hearing. She's very angry and she's happy that somebody wants to come there and do something about it. So this isn't going to give the Democrats what they think they're going to get. And today there was a rather modest anti-Trump protest in Chicago, organized. You can always tell when it is organized ahead of time. One, it's Labor Day weekend, Labor Day today. Not that people are getting the day off from work today or anything. A lot of people work today. But anyway, they always do the same chants. They have the same signs, same slogans, and they have that stupid Marxist symbol with the fist in the air. That is akin to the hammer and sickle. So which is basically all the same thing. Anyway, I believe Trump is going to do something with Chicago because he talked about it on the campaign. He said he would do something about it. He made a promise to people that live there, if they vote for him, that he will do something about it. Trump keeps his promises. Don't know if he'll be successful. I don't know if Democrats will sue him into not doing it. I don't know what's going to happen. Nobody's tried it. Why don't we try it and see what happens? At least we could try to do something, right? Donald Trump could be like every other white politician that has won an election and say, well, it's a black people problem. I don't care. Inner city, who cares if these idiots kill each other? And there would even be some crazy people that would say something completely asinine like, quote, let them go ahead and do that. Who cares? The world will actually be a better place with less of those people, unquote. So you get a lot of different people that are chiming in. You got a lot of people on the left calling Trump a fascist dictator, a Nazi. That's Nazi stuff right there. Sending in the National Guard for law and order. Well, law and order is law and order no matter who's doing it. And they make up a lot of exaggerations and lies, these protesters. I saw one today talking about how they're shredding democracy and how they are using police like secret police because they're wearing masks and they're not having body cameras. And part of the mayor's executive order that he prepared ahead of time, knowing Trump may do something like this, because like I said, Trump campaigned on that and said he was going to. So these people know that. They've already have a contingency plan in case he does, because they knew he talked about it. So this isn't a surprise. He's doing what he said he would do. There's another dead squirrel. Now, this is the third dead squirrel I see on my walk right now. And this is a young one. So we are next to a road. So the likelihood is the squirrel got pinched by a tire. And the squirrel is now not with us anymore. Hi. So I'm not going to go spreading any squirrel conspiracy theories. Okay? But squirrels are being killed. A lot of them. More than I usually see. Now it could be, you know, we did have some rain. We got some relief. So I'm sure the squirrels got a drink of water. But maybe they don't have as much food. Maybe they, you know, need some more water again. That rain was nice, but it was not enough to solve the drought problem. And maybe that's causing them to be more active to forage, you know what I mean? They're doing more foraging than usual because winter's coming and they need to get fat. But that was a little squirrel we just saw, a baby one. Probably got smooshed, pinched. I didn't see any injuries on it, but that doesn't mean it wasn't hit. Anyways, my friends, we're going to see what happens with Chicago. Personally, I absolutely fully support that. Let the legal chips fall where they may. Let them fall where they may, my friends. Yeah, we haven't walked this way for a while. I usually take the side street. So, this will be a good route to take when the Halloween decorations start coming out. There's 2 or 3 of them on this street, usually. Which some people have started putting those out. So we talked about mail-in ballots on my walk yesterday on the woods trails. You might want to check out that walk for my commentary on that. Well, let's move on to Governor Moore in Maryland. This black dude who was, at first was barking at Trump, and apparently his lawyers had a talk with him. His legal people said, you know, if Trump wants to send National Guard in here to protect ICE officers and to have order while federal officers are doing their federal duty under the Constitution, Trump is fully able to deploy whatever federal services he sees fit to accomplish that. So the other thing that coerced the governor of Maryland, specifically because we're talking about Baltimore, another very high crime city destroyed by Democrats. I think they have been in charge of Baltimore for 60 years, is the Department of Justice is suing their sanctuary city policies, and it looks like they're going to win because it's not constitutional. Sanctuary city policies, you can't usurp the federal government. So you can't give sanctuary to criminals, for one thing, and that's one of the things that violates the Constitution. You're aiding and abetting criminals. Now, you hear that and you're like, oh, geez, so immigrants are all criminals to you, huh? No, that's not what I said. That is the liberal answer. The correct answer is the majority of migrants here are here illegally. They broke the law to come here illegally. They're here illegally, okay? And among those, most of them are good people. They just want a better life, but they came here illegally. A lot of them have mental issues. A lot of them have issues that would not have allowed them to come here. Previous criminal record, for example. And the only way they can come here is illegally. So they need to go. The other aspect is the drug cartels in Mexico pretty much controlled who came in and who didn't, and they had to pay. So the drug cartels made a lot of money from that. So a lot of the people here are here through criminal activity, trafficking. That also causes a problem for sanctuary cities legally. So the cities are not going to win on this. The public voted for this, for one thing, and for the most part, they've not changed their mind. They're supporting what Trump's doing. They just don't like the National Guard aspect. Nobody seems to be very much against extra sheriff, extra police, extra law enforcement. So Democrats are going to lose on this. They're defending criminals, is what they're doing. That's a political loser. So they've already lost that fight. So their best defense is, why isn't Trump worrying about lowering prices of food? Prices still have not come down. Well, I will venture to argue that prices have come down on some things quite a bit, actually. And it takes a while for things to catch up. Joe Biden's executive orders, it took almost 12 months after his executive orders were signed for energy policy before the price of gas and heating oil went absolutely bonkers, out of control. And also the price of food went up as a result of that. And it also raised inflation with the Inflation Reduction Act, which actually raised inflation because of government spending. Government spending is what causes inflation to raise. It's just a fact. The government prints more money when it needs it. So the more money it spends, it prints more money. Perfect way to exemplify this is if you have a dollar bill and you cash it in for 100 pennies, and then you're cashing it in for 100 pennies because you need to pay something in pennies, and you have to pay hundreds of dollars in pennies. So you only get 100 pennies for a dollar bill. That is your country's entire GDP tax revenue from GDP. That's all you have to work with. But you need money for defense, you need money for entitlements, you need money for Medicare, money for Social Security, money for this, money for that, and money for something else. So what do? You borrow. You borrow the money you need from other countries. First of all, the United States should not be borrowing a fucking dime from anybody. We're the richest country in the world, the most powerful, with the largest GDP on the planet. They should be coming to us for money, okay? That's just simple math. All right, so in the meantime, okay, you're gonna borrow hundreds of pennies from somebody else, and you have an interest rate, and you have payments you have to make. So you have to pay on that. You also need money to do everything else. So to pay on your debts, the solution is, because we had the Fed instituted in, I believe, the late 1920s. Could be wrong on that. Might have been the 30s. Whatever the case is. It was developed because we were in financial ruin. So the big idea was to have a Federal Reserve Bank. So the Federal Reserve Bank, which you've heard Trump arguing with Powell, is an independent body that basically controls our economy based on financial data and information. So let's go back to the 100 pennies that you do have, that you actually own. Well, you have to pay the equivalent of your credit card payments, your car loans, your phone bills, your house bills, heating, electricity, etc., so on and so forth. So you have to pay those. Well, you only have so much money, but you have a Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve can actually say, you know what? Print some more money. We'll print more money, so we'll have money to pay things. It'll devalue the currency, but we'll have the money to pay. If interest rate goes up a little bit, yeah, okay, could cause problems, but I think we can handle it because we are the largest country in the world with the biggest GDP. Should be able to handle it. So that has gotten us into a mess. The Cold War got us into a mess in the 50s and 60s. It exceeded the revenue of the government. So we had to fight a Cold War, spend gazillions of dollars on nuclear armament, missiles, silos, military sites globally, submarines, aircraft carriers, jet planes, on and on and on. So, well, Social Security and Medicare suffered for that. Because where are you going to get the money to do all that stuff when you're only printing so much of it? You can either print more money, or you can rape and pillage the funding of other agencies that already got money. So politicians love raiding the cookie jar. So that's what's done the big mess we have now. And the country was going in a financial bankrupt tailspin because, simple math, So, hence the tariffs. Tariffs is using our capital, what we do, because we are the biggest economy in the world with the largest GDP, and other countries want to do business with us. So when you tell them that they have to pay a tax, which is what a tariff is, to do business here, or you can't do business, then you have to agree to it. Other countries have been doing it for a long time. The United States used to be fully funded, fully 100% funded, with no national debt other than money we borrowed to fight the Brits again in the 1800s after we already beat them. They tried to raise some shenanigans again. So we borrowed money from France, yada, yada, yada. That's where we ended up with the Louisiana purchase, part of that deal. But anyway, so we used to pay our own debts, and the United States citizens did not have income tax. In fact, in the late 1800s, they tried to get income tax in Congress, and the Supreme Court said, you can't do that. It's illegal. You're taxing your citizens. That is illegal according to the Constitution. So how the hell did we end up with the IRS and being taxed for income tax then? Well, in 1913, we had a Democrat majority in this country. And we had a Democrat president who appointed a couple of Supreme Court justices who were Democrats. Hey. And so what they did was they all of a sudden said, yeah, it is constitutional. As easy as that. So then they imposed income tax. Congress did. Passed in the Senate, signed by the president. And we've been paying for that decision ever since. Prior to that, we used to use tariffs for revenue, which is what Trump talks about all the time. We weren't reliant on taxing people. Our country was rich. People weren't being taxed. Whatever you earned, you got to keep. You had more money. Didn't have to do tax returns. You didn't have to do your taxes. Whatever you made, you got to keep. That's it. This all came about when Democrats found a way to get extra money to spend. And they are responsible for it. Make no mistake. Make no mistake on that. All of our problems in this country were caused by Democrats. That includes World War II. And you're going to say, wait a minute, how can Democrats be responsible for World War II? Well, they weren't, okay? But they were in power for a long time. Republican Party was in a shambles for many years. And the Democrats ran everything. So what they decided to do after World War I was, it was such an ugly war that nobody wanted to have happen again. So that became campaign talk. Vote for me for no new wars. We're not going to support any war. Public sentiment was 80%. We don't want wars. We're not going to vote for people that want to go help Europe with their Hitler problem. Because the Hitler problem started in the early 1930s. So there was a long time people knew he was going to be a problem. They didn't do anything about it. In fact, Congress passed legislation, anti-war legislation, forbidding Congress from giving arms to our allies. If that same thing was still in place today, Ukraine wouldn't have gotten a dime of military equipment from us. It would have been illegal. So, as Germany bombed England, attempting to bomb it into oblivion, we couldn't give them any arms. Churchill came here, the famous meeting, basically was told, we can't help you, we just can't, it's illegal, can't do it. So, the President of the United States at the time sent out the message through representatives and ambassadors to England as a leak, like, oops, for some reason the United States, 200 feet inside the Canadian border on the American side, which at the time we had no checkpoints, it was just a free open border, and said, boy, we have all these tanks and artillery and stuff and planes, and it's all just sitting there. It'd be a damn shame if somebody just walked across the border and stole it. Can't imagine anybody in England, wink wink, would cross the border and just steal all of it, which is what happened. So people knew we had to go to war, and in fact FDR planned on that, knowing public sentiment, and he was planning and plotting behind the scenes, getting corporations ready ahead of time to be ready to start producing war equipment. And financially, the financials is what he was doing. But the Democrat Congress and Senate would not have any part of it. And the reason why I say they're responsible for World War II is they did nothing until they had to. Public sentiment didn't change until Pearl Harbor. That's documented, it's a fact. So when that happened, all of a sudden people were ready and realized the problem. And don't forget, Japan had invaded Manchuria in the 1920s. Had already killed, geez, a couple million people. This was before Hitler even came to power. So it was brewing for a long time. And we're not even going to talk about Mussolini as a world player in this, because he was a tag-along, a tin pot dictator, basically. There was one famous story where this media person, this woman, reporter, interviewed him in his office, and he didn't like what she wrote about him previously, and she hadn't changed her mind, so he threw her on his desk and he raped her right in his office. And so he was not a nice guy. So anyway, that was then, this is now, and now we have Prime Minister Modi in India being all buddy-buddy with Putin, and now Chairman Xi, who Chairman Xi and Modi have not met or talked very much in 7 years, and all of a sudden Modi is meeting with Putin and Xi because of Trump. So a lot of people wanted Trump to get tough, tried to broker an end to the Ukraine war, which we didn't have to do. It would have been easier for Trump to just do business as usual, right? Like everybody else. We'll just send Ukraine some arms. It's not our problem. But Trump legitimately wants the war to stop. People are being killed. Go on YouTube and just research Ukraine and drones, for example. It's unbelievable the amount of people being killed every week. And so you have to understand what BRICS is. B-R-I-C-S, BRICS. It is that part of the world, India, China, Russia, countries like Portugal, Spain, Venezuela, Brazil, not Argentina, but they're trying to establish a new world currency to weaken the dollar and cause the dollar to collapse and not have the US dollar be the dominant dollar in the world. That's their goal. So Modi in India is the second most populated country in the world, has a rather large economy, but it's not as big as it could be, has been buying oil from Russia, and it's financing Russia's war against Ukraine. So that's the problem, okay? But at the same time, you don't want to alienate Modi, who was an ally, and they were about ready to go to war with Pakistan, which both countries, by the way, have nuclear weapons. And Trump stopped that because of talk about tariffs. And I don't think Modi liked that very much. So Modi is trying to find an easier avenue for India to make money. And he's siding with Putin and Chairman Xi of China. And, well, Chairman Xi, I believe it's pronounced. So they are conspiring with this BRICS, getting some Middle Eastern countries involved also. Basically people who don't like the United States. They've been upset with the United States trying to control the world markets, control everything. And it's coming to a head. Now the EU is not a supporter of BRICS. But my fear is that if Trump really puts the screws to the EU with tariffs, that they're going to support BRICS and they're going to try to bankrupt the United States. I don't know if they would succeed in doing that, but the possibility is there, okay? It's mathematically possible that the United States dollar will end up not being worth anything. And I mean anything literally. You go to the store to buy bread, could offer $500 for the loaf and it won't sell. They won't sell it to you. That's what I mean by money being worthless, literally. Which brings me to two different seers, and you know I reference seers once in a while. Those are people that supposedly God gives them information. And one of the ones that I check out is actually one that has been right more often than he's wrong, and when he's wrong, he's not wrong by much. He said a couple of things of importance. 2028 is going to be really bad. I'm not talking about the election. I'm talking about before the election, there's going to be another pandemic, okay? The pandemic this time is going to be a real one, and it's going to be really bad. And he said 350 million. Now again, take this with a grain of salt. I don't take this seriously. I don't take it as something that's going to happen. But this guy has been accurate quite a bit. He says 350 million people around the world are going to die from this virus. And it's going to be very bad. Especially after the last one we had, and the great financial gains that America is going to get under the Trump presidency, which he said there will be great economic prosperity like this country hasn't seen in probably ever. And that the way he put it was that this was going to cause a problem. The American dollar is going to collapse, and BRICS is a threat. BRICS is a real problem that is going to weaken the American dollar because the United States took way too long to do something about it. They finally got somebody to do something, but it's too late, according to him. So, now, like I said, take that with a grain of salt, okay? Don't sell all your assets and go buy a log cabin out in the woods somewhere. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that this seer, who, by the way, predicted Trump's assassination attempt, right down to him getting shot in the ear 3 months before it happened. That is documented. That is fact. He said God showed him that when he's praying. This is one of those guys that speaks in tongues. It's really bizarre, but he's a good guy. He's not a shyster or a scammer. He doesn't ask for money. He just talks. So I respect that. That doesn't mean I'm going to immediately believe whatever he says, because he has been wrong before, or it didn't happen. But anyway, he predicted the terrorist attack also in New Orleans. He even named the street Bourbon Street. He said there was going to be a shooting, mass shooting, terrorist attack. He said there was going to be 3 locations that day. He said Las Vegas, New Orleans, and Nashville, Tennessee. Nashville, he said. The one in Nashville never happened. Maybe because that guy blew up a Tesla in Las Vegas, which is obviously one of the ones he saw. Maybe because that and all the media and security tightened down after the Louisiana, New Orleans one, that perhaps the one in Nashville was canceled. But he said what he saw was a concert in a theater, kind of like the Grand Ole Opry, he said, something like that, in Nashville, Tennessee. There's going to be a concert on the same day that the New Orleans, Louisiana attack happened, okay? Let's just veer off here. And he said, this is what he said, that there was going to be a bomb threat made inside the theater that was going to get everybody to evacuate. A mandatory evacuation they would do, send everybody out the exits. And then he said outside the exits were going to be armed terrorists with fully automatic machine guns that were going to shoot all the people coming out. This is what he prophesied. This is what he said would happen. And he said God showed him that. And he always says, and you know, this always sounds funny, but just because I say it's going to happen doesn't mean it's going to happen, he said. I'm just telling you what God showed me. So he says that either people's prayers circumvent it happening, whatever you want to take it as. But the son of a bitch is right. So often it is ridiculous. Another dead squirrel. So that makes 4 today. Pinched by a car, obviously. The squirrels are out. A lot of activity. And when you walk every day, you notice things like that. Sometimes I'll see one every 3 or 4 walks. But to see like 4 or 5 on one walk pretty wild. But anyway, he said that attack was, he said there were going to be 3 attacks on that day. We had the one in New Orleans. He named Bourbon Street. He named what it was going to be about. And that it was going to be an ISIS-influenced kind of deal. And he didn't say anything about the Las Vegas one, but he said there was going to be an explosion in Las Vegas, a terrorist attack. And then he named that one in Nashville. Now, he said that 2 months before it happened. He described Trump's assassination attempt 3 months before it happened. So he's talking about BRICS and financial collapse. Basically, the whole world is going to financially collapse. And it's going to be really bad and really terrible. So I guess we have that to look forward to. We think we're doing good. We think things are going to go well, and then boop, they don't, which is exactly what happened in 2020, isn't it? So because it's already happened once, we know that can happen. Literally a month from now, you could be sitting in your kitchen forbidden to leave your house, because that's what happened, isn't it? So if it happened once, it'll happen again, or could happen again, I should say. So don't take things for granted, my friends. So I'm going to turn the camera around now that we are in a quieter area with less traffic. I don't have to shout at the camera. So, you know, like I said, take it with a grain of salt. I'm just telling you, the guy he's got a track record. He does. The guy's first name is Brandon. I don't remember his last name. He's got a YouTube channel. You've probably seen it. I don't know. But his goal is to spread the gospel globally. He's got a bunch of channels for different countries, translated in different languages. So, anyways, pretty interesting stuff. Regardless. I mean, the mathematical odds, I think, of anybody predicting world events like that and I don't mean just saying, you know, this isn't one of those things where I'm predicting there's going to be a terrorist attack in July of next year without specifying what it is. I mean, any attack can be said, well, okay, well, that's what he was talking about. This isn't like that. This is details. Trump at a rally. He's going to be in Pennsylvania. The bullet, he said in his prediction, is going to explode his eardrum. And he said on the right side of his head. So he got the correct side of his head, got shot in the ear, but to him, he doesn't know anything about guns, and he assumes bullets explode, because that's the common, you know. So you have a little bit of human element in there with it, but he said that it was going to injure his ear because the bullet was going to explode, just missing him or hitting him, and it explodes. That's what he said. Then he was going to drop down on the stage, and in that moment he was going to find Jesus and God, because he realized what happened. And then after that, he said he was going to win the election. He said all the legal stuff was going to go away. It's just going to go away, he said, after that assassination attempt. That's exactly what happened. Really crazy, right? So he's gotten enough right to get my attention, I guess. He doesn't have 100% of the details accurate, but enough to go on to say, okay, I'll put some merit in that. We'll see, you know? One of those things. So anyway, keeps talking about this another pandemic, and it's going to be a real one this time. So, and the financial collapse is going to come with it, and it's going to come at the end of Trump's presidency, after some of the greatest financial success this country's ever had, which is kind of like what happened in his first term. It's like a carbon copy, right? So you could look at it and say, yeah, he's just copying what happened in his first term. He's selling clicks, he's making money. It's not the vibe I get from him. And, you know, you see a lot of crackpots like that online. I told you that guy about Bigfoot yesterday, or the day before. Now that guy was a Looney Tune crackpot, right? So we're getting the Halloween decor set up now over here. So we're getting the spooky stuff going. Setting up all this stuff. You know what this means? This means we're going to get a windstorm. Every damn time these people set up all these decorations, a windstorm comes by and ruins everything. So they get the demon here powered up. At nighttime, that skeleton's eyes light up. They're lit up now. Can't see them very much. So anyways, got the decorations coming in. The dead guys in a boat. Halloween, man, Halloween. And by the time you watch this video, I believe the time limit you have left to buy Powerball tickets will have passed. About an hour and a half, 2 hours ago, there was about 7 hours left. So, good luck to everybody. Good luck. And again, my advice to you would be that if you win the Powerball, don't tell anybody you won it. Just don't even do it. Not even family members. That's usually how this information gets out. Some guy wins and his wife tells somebody, and a relative usually. And then they tell someone else, and then the whole world ends up knowing, and then everybody comes out of the woodwork trying to get your money. So go back to the beginning of this video where I talk about what this expert, legal expert, who's a lawyer, says he does for his clients that win big money. In other words, he said, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're not going to see any of that money for at least a month. So as much as you're going to not want to do it, or perhaps you will, just because knowing you won't have to anymore if you don't want to, they'll probably give you time to say goodbye to it. But they are going to set up a fund where you can actually have access to some of that money while they still do all the legal stuff. And don't do what people usually do. Don't go on a spending spree. There's no need to do that. You get the rest of your life to do anything you want. There's no need to go do a lot of big purchases. That basically is going to tell everybody you won the lottery, for one thing. You know, don't go buy a friggin' Lamborghini or a Ferrari. They're terrible cars to drive in the city. They're not cars that you're going to drive as a daily driver, okay? You want to get something like that, you can get one later, where you actually have a garage to put it in, a mechanic to take it to, and you're going to take it out once in a while. Then you have to worry about if anybody follows you back to your house. All of a sudden you're concerned about security, so your whole life's going to change. And you know, that's why you need to give yourself some time to assimilate. Then you're going to have relatives to deal with. This guy said you're going to have 100 cousins come out of nowhere that you didn't even know existed. A lot of them are going to be made up. They're not even your cousins. And he said that just comes with it. So you need to have all your legal stuff taken care of. Can't trust anybody, especially this day and age. Some guy says he's your cousin and, you know, he finds out you won that money. Then they do a home invasion thinking that you have all the money stuffed in your mattress or something. Because he's an idiot. And you end up getting killed. Then we have a lot of people that win $96 million, $200 million, and within 5 years they're broke, penniless, because they didn't do anything I just mentioned. One guy owned multiple supercars, and it's just stupid things like that. You know, you win $300 million, you don't go buy a $100 million mansion, okay? That's dumb. You're not super wealthy. You can get a mortgage. You can get a mortgage on something, on properties. And the best thing to do is spend other people's money. And what I mean by that is get a mortgage where you're using the interest made off your money to make payments, things like that. You know, rich people don't go out and just buy things. Like, you know, I'm gonna buy a mansion. I mean, they actually finance it, some of them. Because some of these things are ultra wealthy. Then you have to remember, you have to hire grounds people to take care of it. You have higher property taxes. There's a lot of upkeep. There's a lot of overhead cost on top of what you paid for it. And that's what people don't figure out and count on. Oh man, didn't know I had to do that. Well, yeah, you do. You're not going to do all that yourself. Then you got to deal with people coming in your home and cleaning it, and you have to trust them. So a lot of things change, and you know, I would not want a big mansion. I just would not. I'd have a normal house, and it would have good security entrances and exits. There would be a very good gun room that's locked up in a safe, a vault, and there would be a lot of changes. There would be a direct link to law enforcement, for one thing, security stuff. And you may get some false alarms with that and have to apologize to them, but you know, you're worth kidnapping now, okay? Relatives of yours, if you're married, if you have kids and you won, now you got to worry about somebody kidnapping your family members. You know, it's kind of a big deal. So lie low. Absolutely no information about winning at all revealed to anyone other than need to know. If your wife needs to know, well, you know, obviously she knows, and she'd better be quiet. Now the other thing is, let's say you win a Powerball ticket and you and your wife aren't exactly getting along very well. Do you want to tell her? Do you want to cash that in right away? Or do you want to get a divorce first so she's not entitled to it? So there's a lot of things that go with that. Because you win 1.1, you take the lump sum, you get 600 million. And then from that 600 million, 50% goes to taxes, you get 300 million. Now from that 300 million, you get divorced, she's going to get half of it. And it could take a year, year and a half to 2 years of psychological torment and torture until the judge settles it. And hopefully it's not a liberal one that's angry with you because you have guns. And she could end up turning around saying you're a criminal, you're a threat. You know, people can turn nasty for $150 million, all right? So there's a lot of things to think about ahead of time. And if you do anything of what I just said, you'll be doing yourself a favor. Because I spoke common sense. You don't need to be an expert in it. People are shit. They're always going to be shit. And when you have something they want, they're going to be even more shit. So, you know, maybe you're married and you don't like the wife you're with, and you're just kind of there as some kind of financial agreement, or it's good for the kids, or, you know, now's not a good time to move. Whatever the reasoning may be, if you win a big lottery, that's going to change. She's going to try to claim that half the ticket is hers. She's going to try to claim that she was with you when she bought it. She's the one that actually went and paid for it because you were too lazy to get out of the car, you know. It'll be something like that, you know what I mean? So I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying. I'm not saying you shouldn't trust your wife, but I'm saying is you would know more than I would if she's trustworthy with that. Just stuff I talk about on my walks. Don't take it seriously. Gotta live in the now, man. Live in the now. Reality. Coming up on 5 miles walked very shortly. So I got my workout for today. Much easier walking than it was yesterday in the woods. City walking is much easier, which is why I wanted to do a basic, simple, paved 5-mile route today, okay? I'll sign off somewhere up ahead. I still got a little ways to go, not a big deal. Oh, I smell somebody grilling hot dogs. I know it, grilled hot dogs, and it's reds. They're cooking reds. I smell it. I'm gonna go raid somebody's barbecue. Thing is though, today, not too many people barbecue with charcoal, and I don't understand the logic of that. The best barbecue I've ever had has always been charcoal. Gas grills just don't cut it. And if my older brother is watching this, don't be offended. They like to grill on their porch. That's fine if that makes you happy. But I like the smoked kind of flavor, charcoal briquettes. Nothing beats it. I used to buy chicken breast and cook those. Oh my God, those were so good. You butter them up with barbecue sauce. You get the nice crunchy edges. It was always juicy, cooked perfectly. It's like it burns just at the right temperature. And it's the smoke. It's the smoke, the flavor, you know? I mean, gas grills are okay. I'm not going to completely knock them, but if I had a preference, it would be charcoal, absolutely. Or a hibachi. Hibachis are good too. Used to cook in a hibachi right out in the driveway where I used to live in Auburn, and it was really good. Cook it with a lid if you want. And the smoke, it's the smoke, man, it's the smoke. Because they mix the charcoal briquettes with wood, you know, to smoke. Exactly for that purpose. Ribs, barbecue ribs. Oh my God, meat falls right off the bone. Yum, yum, yum. Anyways, we'll be wrapping up this walk shortly. I had a pretty nice barbecue grill, and the bottom gave out. I got used a lot, and the bottom gave way. It was used to begin with. I don't even know if you could still buy a good charcoal grill. The one I had was made in America. It was solid. I don't know if the modern ones feel chintzy. I really don't know. Probably stamped. The metal's probably stamped. Oh, there's an osprey up there. Seen that one circling here before. Osprey just goes around circling, and they'll pick up field mice, small animals, squirrels. And I don't know if you noticed osprey before, but I used to go to the pond at Bates College, and every year the students there stock the pond with goldfish. And those things look like shiny fishing lures if you're flying up in the air and see as good as birds do. Birds of prey, I should specify. Absolutely fanatical vision. Fantastical, I meant to say. And they would circle around, and then they would do a swoop. They would come down, and they would go head first right into the water, underwater, from the air, and come up with a goldfish. Absolutely amazing to watch in person. I was just thinking of years ago with my mom and dad home video camera on VHS tape. And my dad was at the Bates College Pond with my mother, and they were sitting there watching the ducks because she liked to do that. And he's filming around, and he turned and he put the camera too far, and her face came on the picture. And he starts giggling to himself, and then he goes, yeah, you gotta put your nose in everything, don't you? Then he started laughing even more. So they had been married 47 years. Thought that was funny. I just thought of that when I thought of Osprey plunging in the Bates College Pond. A couple of squirrels. They really get into it with crows sometimes, because the crows try to steal their food. So the squirrels will jump in the air sometimes and chase them. So we got 3 squirrels running around out there. 4. Holy crap, it's a bonanza. It's a squirrel squadron. All right, my friends, I'm going to turn the camera around. Thank you very much for walking with me today. God bless you. God bless the country. Say a prayer for President Trump and the country. And, well, all I can tell you is God bless America. And, click like and subscribe, share the content, and keep the faith. Keep the faith. We're winning, okay? We're going to have a couple of rough spots here and there where they're going to try to stop whatever they can. And if anything, with Trump doing all this stuff, it's raising awareness. And when have the Democrats actually read the Constitution? If anything, President Trump is getting these guys to actually read the Constitution. 10th Amendment, First Amendment, Second Amendment, right? Instead of just talking points on TV and young people repeating what they hear on TV, people are actually now reading the amendments. I think the 10th Amendment was one of the highest searches on Google this past week, having to do with elections and states' rights. So this is all good. This is all good. It's getting people off their ass patriotically to actually research what's in the Constitution and talk about it, which is something that has not happened in a long time and is partially responsible for what's going on now. And these young people are saying, oh, I guess we're not really entitled to this stuff, are we? So that's all good. Anyways, my friends, we'll see you on the next walk. Click like and subscribe, share the content. Thank you for being here. And we will see you on the next walk. Be peaceful. Always peace. See you guys soon. Bye-bye now.